Moving your craft room is no joke, so here are some lessons I learned. Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and after recently relocating my space from one state to another, there were some hard-learned lessons that I thought I would pass along. So whether you are moving houses, moving states, or just moving your craft space from one area of your house to another, I'm hoping that these lessons will help save you some time, some energy, and maybe even a few tears along the way. So let's dive in. So the whole moving process began with packing, and that's one of the first lessons I learned was to pack really deliberately. It was less about how much can I fit into this box and more about does it make sense that the things in this box go together. And I realized that more and more when I was on the other side of it, when I was on the unpacking side, because there were times that I had kind of shoved random things into boxes that had some empty spots, trying to condense as much as possible. And it made things really complicated in the unpacking process. I wish that I had really distinct categories labeled instead of just craft studio paper. If I had said 12 by 12 paper pads, scrap paper, been really specific on what was in each box, not more general, I think that would have been really helpful as far as organizing on the other end. Would it have taken more time? Yes. I should have given myself more time in general to pack my craft space. I came from a very large craft room in Virginia, and I needed more time to slowly and deliberately pack. That was really important. Now, one thing I did do pretty successfully in the process is to de-stash in advance. So I de-stashed as I was packing. If I had not used supplies in a while, they didn't end up going into a box. They ended up going into a donate bin or a de-stash bin of some sort. So de-stashing on one end was really helpful. Also, de-stashing on the other end because I found there just wasn't room for some of the supplies I thought there was going to be room for, or things had been packed for months or weeks and I didn't really miss them. And so I thought, you know what? It's probably okay to let some of those things go to free up some space in the new place. So de-stashing was pretty key, and moving is the perfect time to do that. Now, you don't always have the mental space to de-stash while you are packing. Sometimes you're packing quickly because of timing. Sometimes you're packing a whole house like I was, and things are stressful and you might not be able to process what you're going to need. And that's okay. Give yourself a little grace. It's okay if you can't de-stash while things are going into the boxes, but you better be sure you're going to de-stash before you just take everything out of the box. De-stash, go through the boxes while you're unpacking, and let go of anything that you can. Okay, so I had a lot of boxes, and by a lot of boxes, I mean a ton of boxes in this craft studio. It was overwhelming. I felt a little judged by my movers. In all actuality, it was just, there were a lot of boxes. I have a lot of craft supplies. I found it very overwhelming, to be honest. Once it all was in boxes in Virginia, I was overwhelmed with how much there was. And then once all of those boxes got put into this smaller craft studio, it was extremely overwhelming. I could barely move in this space at all. So one of the things I did that really helped is I got my biggest elements in place first. I put the furniture in place first. I knew what furniture was going to go where. I had a general plan, at least a plan A, like I like to call it, and I got those things in place first. I put my cabinetry in place. I put my Billy bookcases in place. Now, does that mean I didn't shift things ever? No, I did shift. I made changes, and you'll hear about that in a little bit. But getting the furniture in a place first was pretty key to me starting to see this come together. I did not start unpacking any boxes until the majority of the furniture was where I thought the furniture was going to go. That helped me so much. For a while, that meant I had to take all those boxes and keep them in the hallway just because you couldn't move around the space. But it was worth it because you started to see the big pieces come together and it just made a lot more sense. Okay, so once I got the big pieces in place, the furniture pieces, my next lesson is you should unpack your non-negotiables first. The craft supplies, the categories of craft supplies that are non-negotiable, that have a specific place to live in your craft room already. Here's what I mean. For me, that really started with my sticker books. My sticker books live in Billy bookcases. They have bins. They're already all set. It's non-negotiable. I knew where I wanted those. I planned everything around those sticker books. So unloading those and unpacking those first just made a lot of sense. There were other parts of my craft room where I might have had ideas for what might go there, but I was flexible. I wasn't dead set on it working in a certain way. But sticker books for me, I had to have them in the place they were going to go because that was the only place that all of my stickers were going to fit. Another non-negotiable for me is my washi tape. I have to be able to see my washi tape. I love a washi tape wall. It's super important to me. So that was something that I unpacked pretty darn soon because I knew where it was going to go. I knew where it was going to exist, and there weren't any other options for where that particular supply was going to go. The other one, the big one that you have seen behind me for years now, is the pegboard. The pegboard was going to go here the whole time. It was going to go in place. I knew what was going on the pegboard. Like, this has been set in my mind for the longest time. So I got a few of those non-negotiables in a place, not just the furniture, but the actual craft supplies. And those tended to be some of my larger categories. That helped me start seeing progress because the unpacking process, when you are unpacking and planning a new space, even if you're just shifting spaces in your house, it's overwhelming. It's like you let all the toothpaste out of the tube, and are you ever going to get it back in? It doesn't feel like it. Like, there were times that I sat in this room in tears thinking I'm never going to get this set up. This is never going to work. This is going to be a lot. It's too much. It's too much. And it was overwhelming for a lot of different reasons. When you're moving, there's a lot of emotions anyway. But getting a few of those favorites, those non-negotiables in place, started to give me a little glimmer of light, I would say, like glimmer of hope that maybe this craft studio was going to work out. And I'm glad I stuck with it because it did come together really well. I can't wait to show it to you once a few more things get done. But getting those non-negotiables in place then started narrowing down options for some of the craft supplies for me, like my paper, my mixed media tools, my printer supplies, some of the other things that could go multiple places. I was able to decide that a little bit easier. When you have all of the options open to you, it's like, I don't know where to put it. But once you start getting things in place, you can narrow down your options, makes it easier to make that decision. All right, so you heard me mention this before, but when you are moving, when you are resetting your craft space, even if you're just rearranging your current craft room, you need to be flexible. I had several plans for this space based on measurements, just based on my vision for the space that did not work out. The measurements were incorrect. There were things that didn't work like I thought that they were going to work. Once I was in the space, it really doesn't matter how much planning you do in advance. Being in the physical space is a lot different, and moving the furniture around the physical space and seeing how it fits, it's a lot different, and it's something that you're going to have to be flexible. So Go in with a plan. I always say planning ahead is a good idea. Go in with a plan, try your plan. When it doesn't work, you can't freak out. You have to take a breath. You have to be flexible. And I had to do that several times during this process. It was frustrating for someone like me that's a huge planner, that put a lot of time and effort into their last craft studio and kind of designing it from scratch. Having to like be flexible wasn't the easiest, but the more I allowed myself to be flexible, the more I focused on being flexible, the better off I was in the end. So being flexible was a huge lesson learned and something that I need to continue to remember as I organize and reorganize in the future. Okay, so I told you about all the boxes, right? Like a lot of boxes. We're talking triple digits for sure. In the number of boxes that needed to be in this craft studio. It was a lot. And I had ideas. I had my furniture in place. I was putting my non-negotiables in place, and I wanted to organize. I wanted to organize this whole place. I wanted to reorganize. I wanted to update systems. I wanted to do all the things. It was too hard. It's very easy when you are unpacking or doing a big move to get distracted and want to, what I call, micro organize. You want to color code all your pens all of a sudden. You want to create a new system for organizing your brads and your buttons. Whatever the case may be, you start wanting to do that micro stuff, that little bitty organization. That's not going to work when you are moving. You have to do the macro organization first. And I learned that several times because I would get distracted by micro organizing only to realize a day or so later that I needed to move that whole collection of craft supplies to another part of the room because it made more sense from a macro look, from a big overall look. I switched up zones in this room. They've already changed multiple times, and I imagine they're going to continue. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get into micro organizing to really like fine tune some of my systems that I have in place. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to that for months because I'm going to have to spend some time working in here, making sure my main zones work. And once I can narrow down and say that this is where the main collection of paper is going to live for a long time, or this is where the washi tape or the stickers or whatever it is going to be, until I can feel really comfortable with that, I cannot really start any of the micro organizing. So like I said, we're crafters. We get distracted pretty easily. Creative people do. Um, give yourself some checkpoints. Make sure you are not diving into the micro before you have the macro planned out. Before you have your big places planned out, don't start getting into all that micro organizing. It's going to end up in wasted time and energy, plus wasted money, because if you're purchasing some systems that work in a certain zone, they might not work in another zone. So keep that in mind. Macro before micro. Okay. And my last lesson learned, I had to learn over and over throughout this whole process. And that was to give myself grace and time. I shared a couple of videos about the packing process, and it was a lot for me. The packing of my old craft studio turned out to be a lot more emotional than I had anticipated. I think we get very attached to spaces and sometimes even to supplies, even to projects, and shifting things around can be very emotional. So whether you're packing or just rearranging, give yourself a little room to kind of, I don't want to say mourn, but there's going to be some emotions that come up. I already shared setting up this new room was very overwhelming to me. As someone that is hyper organized and usually always has a plan, there were times that I felt frozen in this process and I felt like I couldn't take steps forwards. And in order to move forward, I had to take some steps back. I had to take days out of this craft studio and do other things in this house and not come in here because I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I had to give myself some grace. I had to give myself some space and some time. Do not rush the process. I cannot say that enough, and I need that to be said to me 40,000 times so that I don't forget. This is a work in progress, and most craft rooms are a continual work in progress. Your creativity is evolving at all times, and so is your space. So it's not going to be perfect from day one. It's not going to be perfect in month one. It might not even be perfect the first year. Take your time, pace yourself, give yourself grace throughout the whole process, and focus on enjoying the process. It can actually be really fun. Reorganizing, setting up, designing a new craft studio, super fun, even if it's a little stressful at the same time. All right, so we had 6 big lessons. Pack deliberately and declutter as you go. Furniture first. Put your furniture in place first. Prioritize your non-negotiable supplies. Be flexible. Macro before micro-organizing, and give yourself grace and time throughout the process. This was a big move for me. It's one I hope we don't have to make many more times. I hope this is our forever home, but you never know. If you are moving or if you have moved, I'd love if you shared some of your big lessons down below, whether they're really concrete lessons about how you packed certain supplies or organized while you were moving, or just general lessons about resetting your space. Let us know down in the comments below so we can encourage each other through this process and help others that are just beginning. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. Huge shout out to my Patreon members. They have been here throughout this process. They've seen some of the behind the scenes. They are amazing, and it's never too late to become one of those amazing Patreon members. We have a lot of fun over there. We would love to have you as part of our creative community because the people on Patreon, they're pretty darn awesome. So if you want to find out more about Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/ScrappyWife to find out more info. All right. I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.